I choose to walk in the spirit is difficult, dealing with all of the ignorance. But in the Bible, it's still talking about the Bible. What is the benefit? Everything about you counterfeit. There ain't no rebuttal you can counter with. On the internet, you the master teacher. In real life, you powerless. Keep it real with you, I don't have time for this. I ride for this, my forefathers died for this. They cried for this opportunity presently I possess, and right now you are the opposite. If you walk in love, you fulfill the law. Don't get involved and you ain't giving it all. If you ever think it's cool to threaten another man's family, then you already lost. Chemtrails got aluminum, heavy metal saturate the atmosphere. Manhattan Project, time travel, Mandela effect, what happened here? GMO food processing to the whole world become obsolete. A black man who believes in Jesus got my own team taking shots at me. You trespassing on property that you don't fully understand properly. All the back and forth, that's not for me, that's for ROC and the War Machine. If we ride together, then we ride together. If we can't do it, I'd rather leave. I still stand on the word of God till the day I die and no longer breathe. We trapped inside the diaspora, nightmares of the massacre. Cold sweat, I'm below deck, in the middle passage, just a passenger. Revolutionary hardcore, liberation, that's a hard job. You ain't ready, you a oddball, keep your mouth closed like lockjaw. I learned trying to bring people together on the same page, make them separate. All the talk about reconciliation, when the time come, you hesitate. If Jesus was able to sit at the table with a bunch of sinners, you very fake. Your steps ordered by the Lord, and how was yesterday a big mistake. We the city sitting on the hill. Guess it all depends on how you live. Guess it all depends on how you feel, and we both know that ain't God's will. I stood on what I felt was right. I don't never question if God's real. Trapped inside this matrix, I'm about to pop the red and the blue pill.
Bless them which persecute you. Bless and curse not. Rejoice with them that do rejoice, and weep with them that weep. Be of the same mind one toward another. Mind not high things, but condescend to men of low estate. Be not wise in your own conceits. Recompense to no man evil for evil. Provide things honest in the sight of all men. If it be possible, as much as lieth in you, live peaceably with all men. Dearly beloved, avenge not yourselves, but rather give place unto wrath. For it is written, vengeance is mine, I will repay, said the Lord. Therefore, if thine enemy hunger, feed him. If he thirst, give him drink. For in so doing thou shalt heap coals of fire on his head. Be not overcome of evil, but overcome evil with good. Romans 12:14-21.
Peace, peace, peace. What it is, it's your brother Tavon Sueno, a.k.a. the Orthodox Moor, a.k.a. the Seven Pillar Saracen, a.k.a. Brother Moore. I hope all of y'all are having a wonderful day. Real quick, I wanted to bring you with my last and final DNA reveal video. I forgot to do this, family. My apologies. And I was going over some video of Yahuchanan and I talking with the Faithful to God over on Garfield's channel, and I was watching the brother Yahuchanan show his MyHeritage results, and I was like, oh, I forgot to do mine. And so we were actually going to have a show on tomorrow. Tomorrow we are going to stay tuned for that at 4 p.m. Pacific time, 7 p.m. Eastern, where we're actually going to review that conversation and talk about it a bit more in depth. So please stay tuned for that. Again, Yahuchanan will be on with me talking about that conversation with T.I. and Faithful to God and DNA and genetics and the Bible and all that type of stuff and Israelite claims and all that type of stuff, where we were having a build on Garfield's channel. And so that conversation was over 3 hours long. So yeah, buckle up for that one. I hope it'll be entertaining for y'all. But without further ado, like I said, it reminded me that I needed to share my MyHeritage results. So without further ado, let's get into that, family. Let's go. Yes, sir. So on there you can see it says 25.1% Nigerian. Shout out to all my Nigerian peoples. 24% Iberian. Shout out to all my Iberian peoples. 18.5% Mesoamerican and Andean. Shout out to all my Mesoamerican and Andean people. 11% Kenyan. Shout out to all my peoples in Kenya. And 21.4% of 6 or more ethnicities. So let me stop sharing this and let me get into what those other 6 or more ethnicity is with that 21.4%. Just bear with me for a quick second, family. Yeah. So let's get into it. On the left here, we have the breakdown. So it says that I'm 25.1% Nigerian. Gives me a beautiful picture of the Ndanre Hills in Nigeria. A bit of a breakdown on Nigeria. And I love right off the top, they break down something very interesting about Nigeria. Nigeria has the largest population in Africa, and its peoples belong to over 250 sub-ethnic groups, the largest of which are the Asan and the Yoruba. Shout out to all my Yoruba people. Nigeria was ruled by various kingdoms and tribal rulers and became a colony of England in the 19th century. Many people of African descent in the Americas, and particularly in the Caribbean, have some Nigerian ethnicity, etc. If you want to pause the video up and read all that, please feel free to do such. But yeah, you can see to where this chunk here, it's more than just Nigeria. It has Nigeria, it has a bit of Niger, a bit of Chad, a bit of Cameroon, all of Benin, a little bit of Burkina Faso, and a little bit of Ghana. Where's Togo at? But yeah, it's got it's more than just Nigeria. But yeah, shout out to all my people in this area of the world. And then my second biggest match in Africa is Kenya at 11%. Like this picture of the Masai Mara in Kenya. Yeah, I like that picture a lot. Breaks down the fact that people of Kenyan descent have inherited a highly diverse genetic heritage from a region that is home to almost every major ethnic group found in Greater Africa. That's a very powerful statement right there. Very, very powerful statement. And so a lot of people that I know have a good chunk of DNA that come from this part of the world, or a lot of African Americans, let me say. A lot of people identified as Israelite, etc. Have a good chunk of DNA come from this part of the world, and there is a lot to be said for that. That needs to be looked into and understood. In previous conversations with Lemba Cohen Hamandishe, he told me that he believed that there were Lemba on slave ships that went to America, which prompted me to go look into the East African slave trade. In this participation in the transatlantic slave trade, and found out that there was over 500,000 slaves taken from the coast of East Africa. And so it's very possible that there were Kenyans or people from this area of the world that were taken into slavery within the transatlantic slave trade. And that's evident. Something has to explain an 11% link. But there's definitely a plausibility for that. And again, this is more than just Kenya. You see Uganda. You see Tanzania. There's even parts of Ethiopia in South Sudan, and even southern Somalia that are in this. Shout out to all my Somali family. Walalo. And then it says my third biggest link in Africa is North African at 8.8%. And man, they let you know what it is with the Sahara Desert right there. So within this, again, they kind of broadened it out a little bit. So you have Egypt, you have Libya, Tunisia, Algeria, Morocco, the southern bit of Malta, it seems, and the southern bit of Spain, etc. Let's see, yeah, and what it says there. It says about this ethnicity: many people from the North African region known as the Maghreb, which encompasses modern-day Morocco, Algeria, Tunisia, and Libya. Some people include they're definitely going to include Mauritania and parts of Mali in that. For instance, in my family tree, like all of that's connected, and you see that I have like a larger percentage, but but this is still a significant percentage here, 8.8%. But yeah, it goes on to say that North Africans share some genetic traits with their Southern European neighbors through though the cultures and religions of the region were affected significantly by Arabization and the rise of Islam after the 6th century CE. I connect genetically with like Berber people and North African people on both sides of my family, from my father's side and my mother's side. So I'm not surprised to see 8.8% there at all in any way, shape, or form. Shout out to all my people in the Maghreb. Next is Sierra Leone at 7.3%. And this is something I see quite consistent. I see Nigeria, and I see like Sierra Leone, Senegal, that type of area. And you can see here to where like it's again not just Sierra Leone, but it's Sierra Leone, Guinea, a little bit of Liberia. And I actually kind of like this picture too, because a lot of people don't know about like the fishing cultures in West Africa. And there's a lot of fishing cultures in West Africa. I mean, obviously, because there's a lot of coastline in West Africa, but like a lot of people don't, when they think West Africa, they don't think fishing cultures. And there's a large aspect of the Gola and the Geechee culture that deal with fishing that I think is very interesting. And so, for instance, like the Gola and the Geechee, they believe that they come, a large chunk of them say that they come from Sierra Leone. And so when you understand the fishing culture of the freshwater Geechee and the saltwater Geechee, like it makes a lot of sense. So for instance, like my father's family comes from Alabama by way of Georgia, and somebody potentially by way of North Carolina before they went to Georgia, but like definitely by Alabama and Georgia. And so fishing was a huge part of my father's culture. Huge part. Like, so I have like my father's family, like they lived on a large plot of land to where multiple families, like they saved that money and bought up a whole hillside. And when I say whole hillside, I mean like a good chunk of land to where a bunch of families, multiple families lived on it with multiple houses, to where they didn't have to worry about having to pay nothing to nobody, you know what I'm saying? They grew their own food, and they didn't hunt, but they fished. A couple of them did hunt, you know what I'm saying? And a couple of them, not all of them, but like some of them were the ones that were like we eat possum and stuff like that, you know what I'm saying? My father told me stories about like having to like like when my grandfather killed the possum and he's like, hey, go take that to your uncle up on the hill right quick. and my dad had to take it in a sack up the hill and whatnot. But old boy prepared it, knew how to prepare the meat, and he got down on the possum. But yeah, like so, me and my father is my grandfather's oldest son, and then my cousin is the oldest son of I'm the oldest son of my grandfather's oldest son, and then my cousin is the oldest son of his oldest daughter, and we both have some artifacts that my grandfather, like, so he used to love to fish. Like I'm saying, that was his thing was fishing. That's why I love these pictures here. And so like I have we both have stuffed bass that he caught. I have one that's about 15 pounds. It's huge. It is huge. And then my cousin has another set of like 2 or 3 that are smaller, but like they're definitely good eating size. You know what I'm saying? Like everyone's eating well. But fishing was a huge part of the culture. But another aspect that's interesting about Sierra Leone is that the Geechee people and the Gullah people talk about the fact that, again, a lot of their language you can find there, a lot of their customs you can find there, a lot of their food you can find there, and the fact that with the particularly with like the island peoples, in the Carolinas and Georgia, etc., they were specifically looking for slaves from the rice coast of Africa, which goes from Sierra Leone to Nigeria. And so these were areas where they knew how to grow rice. And so rice was a big crop in South Carolina, in Georgia, etc. For instance, in South Carolina, like it made South Carolina the richest state in the country off the rice production. Yeah, I come from people who put their hand in the dirt and know how to fish. And so that you find that in Sierra Leone. You find people who know who grow rice and all them kind of things, and people who fish and whatnot. And it's the precursor to what you see in the Gullah and Geechee cultures and whatnot. So shout out to my people in Sierra Leone and Guinea and Liberia, etc. Probably went on a little rant. My fault, family. My fault. Going further, let me see what it says here. Sierra Leoneans belong to 16 distinct ethnic groups, the largest of which are the Mende and the Temne. In the 16th century, Sierra Leone became a major shipping center for the African slave trade. Over a century later, freed slaves from North America returned to the region and founded, fledgling colonies. People of African descent in the Caribbean and the Americas often have some Sierra Leonean ancestry. Over 2/3 of Sierra Leoneans are subsistence farmers. See, that's what I'm saying. The most important crop is rice. You feel me? Like, man, you feel what I'm saying? Like rice coast people. Like, so if you're from the South, and you're definitely, and if you're connected to like the saltwater or the freshwater Geechee peoples and whatnot, you're most likely going to have a good strong chunk of genetics from the rice coast. You know what I'm saying? Like, so for me, when you add my rice coast stuff together, I am 32% of my DNA comes from the rice coast of Africa. And again, my father's family is from, like I said, Alabama, Georgia, by way of Georgia, and some by way of North Carolina. Again, dealing with that whole thing there. When my father's family got to Alabama, they became sharecroppers. You know what I'm saying? Like that. So just is what it is. Just is what it is. So going further, we get into my European DNA. So we have 24% Iberian DNA. Love this picture of the Alhambra. Definitely love this in Granada, Spain. Not mad at this picture at all. So shout out to all my Moorish peoples and all my Iberian peoples. You can look at my previous DNA videos where I talk about my Moorish culture and Moorish connections. You can see my True Heritage DNA videos where I talk about my connection here. But yeah, my North African and my Iberian connection is real strong. But that's a large chunk of where my mother comes from and her peoples and whatnot. And so it states here, the region of Iberia, which encompasses Spain and Portugal, has been historically shaped by multiple civilizations and distinct populations, starting with the ancient Iberian tribe to modern day Spain or Spanish and Portuguese people. In 1492, Jews were expelled from the region, and Christopher Columbus set sail for the Americas, kicking off the age of exploration and conquest in the New World. Iberian explorers spread across the Americas, parts of Africa, the Indian subcontinent, and the Portuguese islands of Azores and Madeira, and the Spanish Canary Islands, leaving their genetic mark on these areas. I like this one. Modern surgery was pioneered in Spain during the golden age of Islamic Iberia around 1000 CE. So again, we see it has Spain, Portugal, a bit of France, definitely has some islands on it, a little bit of North Africa and Morocco and Algeria. And again, you can see that strong connection with North Africa as well. Like so, with between again the 8.8 and the 24. I mean, that's another good chunk percentage right there. So like a good third of my DNA comes from the Rice Coast, and a good third of my DNA comes from like Spain, North Africa. Good solid chunks of DNA right there. And then it also stipulates that I have 1.1% Baltic DNA, and this is the Dome Square in Latvia. And so they show Latvian DNA, Lithuanian DNA, and Belarusian DNA. Now this makes a lot of sense to me when you understand what the Iberian Peninsula looked like, because with the Gothic, Visigothic people, all them types of things, that movement and all type of stuff you see happening with the Ingvaeonic peoples moving southward through Europe into North Africa, all them types of things. And so the Ingvaeonic people actually came from this part of the world or whatnot. So having a small percentage of that being connected with the Iberian Peninsula makes a lot of sense to me. Oh wait, hold on. What did it say about the Baltic people? My fault, family. Shout out to all the people in Iberia and the Baltic areas, by the way. It says the Baltic states have seen many masters, having been conquered by neighboring lands many times, but the Baltic ethnic group is Indo-European from an ethno-linguistic point of view. For example, the Balts, as they may be called in English, are Baltai in Lithuanian, or Balti in Latvian. Baltic first referred to the sea of that name, and Baltia was supposedly an island therein. Yeah, shout out to all my peoples over in that part of the world. And here we also have Irish, Scottish, and Welsh, 1.1%. I'm not gonna lie, I dig that picture right there. I've always been a fan of that kind of the Celtic crosses. Not gonna lie. And there's a lot of historical reasons for that as well. I'll definitely get into in other videos. But yeah, so we definitely see Ireland, Northern Ireland, Scotland, United Kingdom, part of England, Wales, even stretching into a bit of France, which makes sense when you understand the Saxons and the Franks and all them types of things popping off, and the wars that went down between them. Let's see what it says here. The western region of British Irish Isles is populated by peoples descended from the 6 Celtic nations, which comprise 2 ethno-linguistic groups: the Brittonic peoples, who were displaced by the Anglo-Saxons. Again, that whole Anglo-Saxon movement; those are like the Ingvaeonic. Anglo, Ingvi, and Anglo are related terms. So the Ingvaeonic tribes come from like Sweden, Finland, Latvia, all them type of things. Jutland. And like I said, they came through and they put the stamp on Western Europe. They they came through and it's like, no, we're gonna run this for a minute. Anyway, it says by the Anglo-Saxons and settled in what is now Wales, Cornwall, and Brittany, and the Gaels, who became the dominant culture in Ireland and then expanded to Scotland and the Isle of Man. Each of these cultures spoke some variant of its original Celtic dialect. Continuous. Now, Celtic, man, I ain't gonna lie to you, it's one of the most beautiful languages I've ever heard. And what tripped me out is I got to sit down and on a trip to Portland. I was on a Greyhound. I got to listen to two young girls sit in front of me speaking Celtic for hours. I was like, yo, it was. So what got me is it's not too different from Hebrew. And you can literally hear it when you're listening to it, you're like, oh snap. Like it's a trip. When we actually do breakdown into the alphabets, etc., you can see connections to basically the Phoenician alphabet. And there's a lot that's intelligible there. And there's a lot of reasons for that as well, because I was talking about like one of my family names is Cordoba and whatnot. That's actually a Phoenician word. That means oil press, Corteb. And there was a time to where the Phoenicians, via the Carthaginians, were actually moving heavy in this area of the world. As a matter of fact, they were going up as far as Sweden, I believe, to go get tin. They were mining all over the place. They went into Spain and found silver and got super rich. Super rich. This is with the Barcid family. Hold on, let me go down right quick. Let me do it like this. Let me go back to Spain right quick. Yeet. So you had the Carthaginians coming up here and just doing all kind of work in Spain. Like I said, they found silver and all kind of stuff and tin in Spain and whatnot, and got super paid, became a superpower in the Mediterranean. As a matter of fact, you have the town Barcelona, right? The capital, Barcelona, right? It's named after the Barcid family, like Hannibal Barca. You might know the name is Hannibal Barca, but like you say the S like a C or the C like an S. So like Barcelona is named after their family. But they, like I said, they were doing so much work that they went up this way to go mine. And so I'll break this down in other videos as well, to where like they have things called like Sarsen stones, Sarsen stones, in this area of the world, and those are literally Saracen stones. And Saracens have links to it has links to mining and what they call Jews pits, etc. I'll totally break this down. But yeah, shout out to all my people in Ireland, Scotland, and Wales, etc. in the UK. Shout out to all my people in Speaker's Corner in London. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to my man Khalid, and Somali speaker. Shout out to my man Ahmed, Somali Maverick. Assalamu alaikum walalo. You already know what it is. Shout out to all the Christian people out there in Speaker's Corner as well. So that wraps it up for my my European DNA. And now we get into my American DNA, which is interesting because so in my previous videos, in my like 23andMe, I'm like roughly like I think 14% Native American. I think my family tree has me like something like 11%, 12%, something like that. Now this shot me up super high. Now I do come like I got a lot of decent native genetics that I come from. But this might be a little higher than normal, but it might be right on. I have no idea. But they have me a Mesoamerican Andean at 18.5% and Native American at 1.2%. So they got me basically 19.7. I mean, 20% Native American, one a strong 1/5. So I'm definitely I'm in between 10 to 20% Native American, strong. You know what I'm saying? And let's check out the Mesoamerican Andean region right quick. Can't be mad at Machu Picchu in Peru. You gotta love that. You know what I'm saying? Definitely gotta love that. It says here that the population of Mesoamerica and South America includes a number of indigenous groups with pre-Columbian roots. These include the Maya peoples of Mesoamerica, etc., etc., etc. In interest of time, I'm not going to drag this video on too long reading about everybody, but you can definitely pause this up and read about all these people. But yeah, I got no issue being connected with these people whatsoever. And this history of these ruins, etc. But yeah, this is very consistent because when you kind of do the migration of my family, like I keep telling people that like my mother's people came to America via North Africa, Spain, and Mexico, right? And so you basically was like bye bye whack, you know what I'm saying? So me having a large chunk of this DNA makes perfect sense. Perfect sense. And then they migrated north. And so, for instance, my mother has a Native American, and my maternal haplogroup is A2G. It's a Native American haplogroup. Man, love the Red Rock in Arizona. Oh my God, you gotta love the Red Rock. If you've ever lived around Red Rock, like you might hate the dryness, but there's some beautiful stuff with Red Rock. Like watching sunset on Red Rock is just amazing. It really is. I'm from around the water, and I lived in an area like this for a while, and I couldn't stand not being around water. But I'll tell you what, watching sunsets on Red Rock kind of made up for it. But it says I'm 1.2% Native American, and it breaks this down as well. Humans are thought to have first arrived in the Americas about 10,000 years ago via a land bridge between Asia and modern-day Alaska and Canada. Native Americans descend from the pre-Columbian populations that subsequently settled in the Americas. Most Native American people were hunter-gatherers living in social and culturally complex communities with strongly animistic and shamanistic religious traditions, etc., etc., etc. Yeah, if you want to read more about this, please feel free to pause up the video and do such. But yeah, this is a large part of the culture that my mother comes from as well. Very large part of the culture. My mother married into like the Apache, a local Apache tribe where she was at when she was young, in her first marriage. She has an Apache name, which I've butchered many times, and I'll try not to butcher again. But it's Tahochlianti, which means I believe the direct translation is "she who flies free in the wind," which is it. Like if you know my mom, it's cool. Like it's like her totem is like she's all about a butterfly. So that name suits her perfect. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, she grew up in an area to where like she worked as a cashier at a store at one point, like in the small town she grew up in northern New Mexico. And so it was common to know, you need to know how to count English, Spanish, in an Apache. You know what I'm saying? You had to count back change in English, Spanish, and Apache. We're also connected to the Navajo people, etc. But yeah, shout out to all my Native American people. And then it says I have 1% Central Asian. It's showing me a beautiful lake in Kazakhstan. I mean, the air got to be cool and crisp right there, but that's a beautiful lake. So they got Kazakhstan, Uzbekistan, Kyrgyzstan, Turkmenistan, Tajikistan, Afghanistan, Iran. What else am I missing? A little bit of Azerbaijan. What that is there? A little bit of China, you know. A little bit of a little bit of Russia at 1.9%. Now, this totally makes sense to me. So when you understand my Native American DNA, like my A2G, like I find my A2G all over here. You know what I'm saying? All over here. So having some connection with this area makes total sense to me. Because basically when you understand Eurasia, like the Native American population, like they literally migrated from Eurasia. You know what I'm saying? So that makes total sense. But it says here, Central Asian people trace their origins to the nomadic ethnic groups who roamed the steppes of Central Asia along the Silk Road. Yep. The Silk Road trade route between Europe and Asia. The Huns and the Mongols, with their infamous leader Genghis Khan, swept over the desert landscape of northern Central Asia. Like people don't even understand about the desert in northern Asia, like for real. Like the Gobi Desert is a cold one, son. But the people don't really understand the topography of Asia. But it goes on to say, swept over the desert landscape of North Central Asia to conquer new territory and expand their respective empires. Later, Turkic cultures dominated in the north of the region, while Persian-influenced cultures exerted power over the south, including modern-day Afghanistan. Yeah, but if you want to read about them, please do so. Yeah, talking about the horse cultures and whatnot, 100%. Horse culture people are very interesting people. I will definitely say that. Like, I've run into a few horse cultures in my life, and I have a lot of respect for people of horse cultures. It's very interesting. It's a very interesting way to live. Very interesting way to live. Let's see, and that is it. So if you want to do the math on that, you can get my breakdowns. You know what I'm saying? What we got here? We got 25, 36, 44, 51 and change. So 52% basically African, all when you include North Africa, which I definitely do. Roughly 26% European, roughly 20% Native American, and roughly 2% Central Asian. So, Jaman, I hope y'all enjoyed that. Hope that was beneficial for y'all. Let's see what the chat's saying. First of all, shout out to Yahya the Canaanite. Shout out to the homie Negi. Shout out to Brother Brian. Yeah, shout out to Charlie West. Shout out to Lady Spade. I'll share this on. Yeah. Shout out to Dally DeBar. Yes, I am part Spaniard. Although I connect more to, like I said, the Maghrebi culture, but all like more like the Andalusian culture. That's more what I come from. Again, shout out to Brother Brian again. Shout out to Elusive One. Peace and blessings. But yeah, family. I hope that was interesting for y'all. Definitely interesting for me. This is my last DNA video in terms of a company I submitted my DNA to. I do have videos coming out to where you will be seeing my true ancestry results, to where I've submitted my raw data to other third-party people. Like, so I have a couple of I have 2 or 3 my true ancestry results to do. I have my family tree plus this one to do, and then I'm going to do a compare and contrast video where I compare all my numbers and contrast them and give you averages and whatnot. If you haven't seen it, check out my first my true ancestry video where I uploaded my 23andMe raw data. Very interesting. I'm also going to be doing another set of 2 or 3 videos, or probably 3 videos again, to where I uploaded my raw data into DNA Land, which is another third-party site where you can see some interesting breakdowns. So I already did my 23andMe, so I'll also be doing my MyHeritage, my family tree, and then an average breakdown. And then also stay tuned, because I will finally be doing my JED match. So my apologies for making the family wait on that. But yeah, I will finally be going through my JED match where I go through where I break down a whole bunch of stuff with that. But with that, family, yeah, man. Check this out. Yeah, percentages are slightly different, but the breakdown is similar to mine. Yeah, a lot of people. Yeah, a lot of people are saying the same thing. Whenever I do a DNA video, it's always interesting to see how people compare and contrast my DNA with theirs. Particularly with me, because I'm mixed with a lot of stuff. I got a good chunk from all over the place. You know what I'm saying? From all over the place. But yeah, shout out to my parents for making a very interesting mixture in myself. I appreciate it every day. But with that, family, I hope y'all are having a wonderful day and continue to do so. You know what I'm saying? May the sun shine upon your face. May the wind be at your back. And may God keep you in the palm of his hands. You already know what it is. But with that, family, I say peace and love.
I like the way this feel. Yeah. Let my soul cry. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Minister, we gonna speak from the heart on this one. I'm performing lyrical funerals, no obituary. I killed your boy and brought him back to life, pet cemetery. My anointing not based on the attendance at a seminary. Scarlet witches, they attracted to the visionary. Everywhere I go, I bring the word with me, missionary. Soldier drafted in the war machine, military. Pay attention, what I'm saying to you, legendary. You got the demeanor of a front desk secretary. That mean you take the calls, but you don't make the calls. That's why you hate, cause ain't nothing fake about me at all. Now I dare you try to say that with a straight face. My delivery in tip-top great shape. I'm too advanced for you, light years, space age. No evolution for you cavemen, stone age. I'm a thoroughbred, rock solid. I came from the bottom to the top, rock climbing. I grew up in the hood, pros and cons. That's that full court pressure when the avalanche roll out that stretch. Why can't you see it's not logical? And you live diabolical. Boy, your point of view smaller than the hair follicle molecule. This for all of them that follow you, smoking all of them barbecue. When I pull up, your voice don't correct itself with no auto-tune. I got a whole nother level that I can enter whenever I gotta deal with the devil. I pick a whole nother method. I hear a whole lot of yapping. They wanna see my reaction. Really out here in the community making it happen. I don't really think they understand the dilemma. They ain't looking at the man in the mirror. Can't say it any clearer. The plan is very simple. It's time to start playing in the temple. Before somebody come and put the can on your temple. Reaching like a baby with his hand for the nipple. The Grand Reaper coming with his hand on the sickle. In the van coming with a ram with it. With the van coming get him. I am so glad that I changed up. Made it out of where I came from. Watch for the slide and the hook of the slow ball, fastball, and that change up. That ghetto lifestyle, it changed us. Go back to visit, it ain't changed much. Only difference is now the way that my brain process information. And Satan, but after my license, day one, let me say something. Only reason that I'm still alive today because God's grace is amazing. Just another raisin in the sun. Dream deferred when things occurred. Now you getting served right on the curb like a lemonade stand. I just gave you the benediction, let the whole church say amen.